A lot of Animal Crossing veterans hate New Horizons. Well, maybe hate's a strong word. They definitely like the old games better. And I get it. New Horizons is a very different game than we're used to in the series. This installment concentrates mostly on decoration and personalization, while past games spent more time pushing the building up of your town and other areas like Main Street and New Leaf. One of the mechanics that this game did add that was brand new to the series was crafting. I've talked a lot about what could be improved about crafting in New Horizons. It's not without its faults. We need a lot of quality of life updates with it, but it's not the worst thing ever. The question is, should crafting come back in the next game? Is crafting important enough to keep in the series? I think it is. While I obviously want an improved version of what we currently have, I think I'd be lost without crafting now. I've come to rely on it so much, mostly for making furniture whenever I want, but also for, just like having tools on demand and doing whatever the heck. It just gives me more freedom. Because of that, there are a lot of benefits to crafting in the game, making the mechanic very worthwhile. Before we get into why crafting is good, let's craft our dinner with today's sponsor, HelloFresh. Leave meal planning behind with HelloFresh's biggest menu yet, with over 50 recipes to choose from and a boatload of market items available. There's always something delicious to find throughout all of these chef-crafted recipes. HelloFresh even has fit and wholesome recipes to help you stay healthy and reach your goals all summer long. The best part? It comes right to your door. No more leaving your cozy gaming setup to run to the grocery store. I'll never turn anyone down who wants to hand deliver me delicious food. I don't have to leave my house and touch grass if I don't want to. I don't care what the internet says, there's pollen out there, and I'm gonna stay safely behind my windows. HelloFresh has seasonal recipes for the summer, like Old Bay shrimp and sausage boil, grilled steak lettuce wraps, and so much more. Oh, love the taste of summer. It's like its own holiday. These recipes are easy to cook. You get a foolproof step-by-step instructions with pictures, that's important, to give you a stress-free cooking experience. You feel like you actually know how to cook food when making a HelloFresh meal. If you want to improve your cooking skills in real life, not just in Animal Crossing, here's your chance. Get your HelloFresh box. Click the link in the description or use my code and get 10 free meals plus free appetizers for life. 1 appetizer item per box while subscription is active if you're in the US. Outside the US, local discount will apply. Now that we've crafted our dinner, it's time to get back to Animal Crossing. The big benefit of crafting, making your own furniture. You don't have to wait for something you want to appear in Nook's store. You can just grab the resources at whatever time of day that it currently is and make your items. You could create a whole furniture series if you had the materials for it, obviously. If decorating isn't your thing, it's also convenient to be able to craft tools, fish bait, medicine, so many useful items, just always available to you. Crafting itself adds a whole extra mechanic for you to experience. Whether you enjoy the decorating aspect of the game or not, it is something that adds hours upon hours of gameplay, not only from the physical mechanic of crafting, but also from the searching and collection of materials. Thanks to crafting, we got Mystery Islands and Captain Islands. Without the new mechanic, we'd be stuck on deserted islands with probably no villagers to hunt for. How sad of an existence would that have been? Maybe adding villagers to islands came first, but it just makes so much sense that these mystery islands were added as an extra way for us to get resources for the day if we kind of utilized everything that was on our island. And what else should they put on this island? Let's let them villager hunt, and boom, torture was discovered. There's so much room to expand this mechanic in the next game. The devs can add brand new materials, returning resources like the gems or extra fruit from New Leaf, and expand on just overall gameplay. There's so much potential to a crafting mechanic, and I think New Horizons is just barely scratching the surface of what it could be. But just because there are benefits to crafting doesn't mean there isn't anything inherently wrong with crafting in general. Besides the fact that there needs to be some quality of life updates for New Horizons specifically, crafting in general is one of those overhyped, overused mechanics. It's everywhere. It's hard to find a game that doesn't have some kind of crafting mechanic. And it's mostly all the same. It's rare for a game to do something special with the mechanic that has been around for like decades. Sometimes it can feel overplayed and tedious because of this. In New Horizons, crafting isn't necessary. Besides getting through the tutorial, you can just skip the entire mechanic if you wanted to, which could be a pro or a con depending on the way you look at it. If you don't want to spend the time to scavenge for resources, you don't have to. This allows you to play the game the way you want to, but you don't have to craft if you don't want to. But does that mean that this activity is completely useless? Or is that just another way for the devs to give us a reason to play the way we want to play? It's kind of a double-edged sword. We all know the mechanic can be improved, especially in New Horizons. I have a whole video talking about why crafting is kind of bad. There needs to be quality of life fixes like multi-crafting, pulling resources from our storage instead of just our pockets, and maybe just a little bit more customization, just to name a couple things that I went over. But if you want a list of all of my ideas or my thoughts and why should you care, I don't know, but if you do, there's a video. If Nintendo is keeping the mechanic in the series for good, or even just for the next game, they're gonna have to add a bit to it, make it more in depth. That's something special. I don't talk about Hoko Life a lot because it has its faults, but their crafting is above and beyond. Not something I would want Animal Crossing to have, but it is the first game that comes to mind when I try to think of a specific game that has done something different with crafting. Instead of giving you set furniture to craft, they give you shapes and little emblems, and you can literally create your own furniture this way. People are so incredibly creative with it. This type of crafting isn't what I expect Animal Crossing to include, and it probably isn't what I want Animal Crossing to include. But it is a good example of what else games could do to this mechanic that is in practically every other game ever. There's more than just resource gathering and crafting prefab furniture. For a mechanic to be a good addition to an existing game series, I want it to change the way we play the game, or else it's just kind of filler. Even though we have one of the most basic forms of crafting right now, I think it did drastically change the gameplay. As I've mentioned, we aren't limited to the 5 items that are available to us every day in Nooks. We can craft a variety of furniture series on demand, meaning we can play at midnight if we want to. No being upset that Nook's Cranny is closed and shutting us out of whole mechanics in the process. Need a shovel? No problem, just craft one. That tree in your way and you're really waiting for that axe to show up at Nook's Cranny? Not anymore, just get some iron and start chopping. I really did enjoy the resource gathering for those first 3 villager plots that the game gives you. It was really cool to make items for your new neighbors and have them decorate their room with them. It felt like crafting something mattered. There's so much potential for improvement, so many things that the devs could do in the next game. New Horizons was specifically constructed around the crafting mechanic, which makes it seem like crafting was a one-time idea attached to this specific game. We'll have to see if Nintendo thinks the mechanic is important enough to keep in the future, but I think keeping something out as big as crafting will make the next installment feel lacking comparatively. You've given us this very large quality of life update, and I would like to keep it. I hope Nintendo keeps crafting. I want to see it expanded and improved. I like the new addition to the series, and I like that they're doing something different to a 20-year-old franchise, even though some people didn't think New Horizons was the best direction to send the series. But I just want the next game to come out. Please, Nintendo, just give us something to nibble on. We're desperate over here. What do you think of crafting in New Horizons? Want it to come back? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye!